Hello, Stampin' Buddies. It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you very early Sunday morning, April 27th, but it still feels like Saturday, the 26th to me. So welcome. I am going to feature loosely another template. Oh, let's get rid of my other device volume so we don't have echo here. Sorry about that. So in the current catalog on page 22, the last several videos I've done have featured some of these templates or sketches from page 22 of the annual catalog. So this is a catalog that's going to be done very soon. We only have probably about a week and a half. It's actually done, oh, it does say April 30th. All right, so I am going to do this card sketch right here. So there's a base, a layer, and basically a banner. So I'm going to change it up just a little bit. You'll see. So this is kind of the simple card that I did. I have a couple of cards to send out to congratulate team members of mine. And I just thought something like this would be quick and easy. I'm using some of the sentiments from this Greetings for All Mix and Match Ephemera pack. So I'm using the Oh Happy Day that I've colored and the You Did It. But for my second card, I'm going to do a different color scheme, and I'm going to use a different sentiment there just to kind of change it up a little bit. So there's that. And we're going to use some of these new Strawberry Slush, which is a new in color, and Pretty in Pink, which is a current in color, these gems. And it might be hard to see, but there's like gold flecks or tinselish things inside these gems. So they're really pretty. You can see they come in a light, medium, and dark of the Strawberry Slush. And they have the larger and the smaller size. So we're going to use some of those. I'll put those over here. And we're going to look at these Grove dies. These are currently, I think, 10% off. They are on the last chance list. So once they're gone, they're gone. And I'm going to miss these. And this stamp set was a coordinating stamp set. It's a cling set. And it was supposed to go through the whole catalog. It's already gone. All right, so unfortunately you can't get this anymore. So I didn't use this for tonight's project, obviously, but I did use the dies, and this is out of the current catalog. So I'm just kind of casing the design that's in there, although I'm not putting the grass and the deer on there. I'm using sentiments instead. But I'll show you how I made those. We'll get those out of the way. And I'm going to use some of this Thoughtful Journey paper. This is still available. I believe it's an online exclusive now. It's not on the it is not on the last chance list. So there's just some really pretty designs in here, and the back sides are more just plain abstract, where some of these look like there's grass, and it was a coordinating bundle basically. So let me get this paper put away and out of our way. Try to get rid of some of the clutter. But we know I'm a messy stamper, and we know I'm a putsy stamper, so I apologize for that. Now in the past, normally how I've used this die set is to do it on black and maybe put some designer series paper behind it. But then I've also made these where I've had, let's say, the deer tucked in the foliage, and this up on dimensionals, and then the little deer on the outside trying to catch up to mom. So that's normally how I've used it, kind of like a silhouette theme. Okay, and I have a bunch of these, so I'll use those for some other projects, but not for tonight. So for this one, I'm going to use Boho Blue. Unfortunately, this is an outgoing color. It's not available anymore, but I had a few more pieces left, so I thought I would use it. All right, we do still have I believe, the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. That's a boho blue. That was a special color release for that. And it's really cute. All right. And then I'm going to use this as my background. Very similar to this one. Okay. And then this is what I'm going to use to die cut our trees. So when I did this piece, I cut the piece so it would go on a landscape. This one I'm going to cut so that it's going on a horizontal or portrait. I mean, not horizontal, vertical or portrait. This is horizontal. And I'm going to try to line this up so that I don't have loose branches on the edges. All right. So let me get this out of the way quick. And I'll bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So this is my Big Betsy. My Bossy Bessie. That's it. And we'll bring in my plates. So I need the base plate, which gives you what your sandwich should be. I need my shim plate. I need a cutting plate. I need my medium. So I need my cardstock or paper and my die. And I'm just going to try to line this up so it's kind of straight. Hopefully that'll work. And then I need another cutting plate. So usually what I do is I have one of the cutting plates pulled back a little bit, and then this cutting plate forward so that only two of the beveled edges are going through that machine. And you can hear how smooth that is. Sometimes you can hear it clunk, and it's really hard to pull through. And that's usually because you have too much bulk. So when I do mine, I have one of the cutting plates pushed back and maybe even the shim pushed back so that I've just got the thick base plate and one cutting plate, which is beveled, and then they can grip better to go through that machine. All right, so let's take this out and get these other items out of our way again. And then with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines, both my little one and my big ones, I use the same cutting plate on the bottom and then leave my top plate so that it's not getting used for cutting. So that when the bottom one gets really crummy looking, then I just move the top plate to the bottom and then get rid of the bottom plate. So with these die pieces, when they're small pieces like this and it's hard to get them out, rather than spending a whole lot of time poking them out, I will use the brush tip that is an add-on piece to my Take Your Pick tool. All right, and it comes with a foam piece, and I just put that in a an old paper pumpkin box, and then you'll be able to see in just a second. I put a little piece of a magnet in here, and these are basically heat register covers that I get from the hardware store. They come like in a 3-pack for a few dollars, and I just use our tear and tape to get that stuck onto the cardboard so that when I'm done with a die, and maybe I'm still fighting with some of the pieces. So here I've only got just a few left. That's not too bad. 3 of them. So we'll go 1. Where was the other one? Oh, I guess it fell out. I can put it on there and it stays in my container. All right, so it looks like with rolling that, I got them all out. And then these I'll just kind of let build up in the box until it's too messy and I can't stand it anymore. Okay, so then this just gets stored like this and I'm good to go. We'll get that out of the way. So now let's add a little bit of color to our trees and our grass. So I need the tree trunks a brown hue, so I'm using pecan pie. So we're just gonna add some color here. A little branch up there too. And use some color here. And I'm going to make these a little darker than I made the last trees. These turned out pretty light because I was trying to be a little conservative. Because I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. So I have not done anything with these dies where I've had so much room on the top and the bottom. I've always just done it kind of as the layer that fits. So this would be 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm doing this one a little bit differently. All right, and we'll just put that die there on that magnet. And let's go ahead and do some old olive. We're just going to add some grass. And I'm not going to worry too much if there's blotchiness on here because I think it'll just make it add to the natural effect of how we have grass in nature, where there might be some hills or bumps and grass that's a little taller. So the variance in the color doesn't bother me so much. Sometimes I'm looking for an absolutely smooth transition of color and having it blend really well because these are blending brushes after all. But on this one, I'm not too worried about it. And I'm going to have a sentiment that's going to go over that, so I'm not going to worry about that too much either. It kind of looks like grass. I suppose if I use a little different technique, it would even look a little more like grass. All right, so let's do the leaves. And again, if it gets a little blotchy, I'm not going to worry about it because it's a full bushy tree. So with that sketch, the banner is actually going to be my sentiment. But you can see where it kind of gives you some ideas about how to put your card together. So sometimes blending brushes can take a long time, and sometimes they go really quick depending on what you're trying to do. And now I'm just trying to add some deeper color here. And you can use this too, like you can see here where I've gotten some of the tree trunks on here. You could actually make a layer that's just from the stenciled amount, you know, the stencil part of it, or the masked part. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Let's move that out of the way. And let's move my sample up here. We can get rid of this. See, little by little, the clutter does go away. And then this is going to go on here, and look at how different that, what a different look that makes for us. So it kind of makes it look like a little lake shot. All right, and I'm going to take just a little bit off the top because it's a little bit longer or taller than my die cut layer. So we'll just take a smidge off, and that should work. Because I don't want to have anything hanging over the edges. And I think I need it just a little more narrow as well, because it's just barely bigger. And sometimes when you're cutting just a little itty bitty strip like that, if you come from either the top or the bottom, you can jam on the paper and tear it instead of cutting it. So if you take your blade up to a higher level than on the edge and then push it down and then go up and down, you'll get a good clean cut without tearing. or bunching it up. All right, so let's put a little bit of Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm just basically smearing a very light layer along my edges there. Ooh, that was close. And then we're going to just kind of put these together. So that nothing's hanging off. And then if there is just a little bit of adjustment needed, because it's the liquid glue, it's easy to shift it around a little bit. Okay, so pretty different look between the Petunia Pop and the Boho Blue. And now we're going to get some dimensionals. And go ahead and put this up on dimensionals. And we'll take my Take Your Pick tool. I've seen where some demonstrators actually take the dimensional off the paper using the Take Your Pick tool, and then they use it to take off the backing paper like I just did. I haven't gotten in that habit yet, but I've tried it and it does work. So let's put this on here. I could have probably gone with maybe a Misty Moonlight, which is a current color, instead of the Boho Blue that you can't get anymore. Or even Night of Navy probably would have looked good. Okay. And then I've already colored this piece that came from the ephemera pack. And I think I'm going to put this one on this side, and I'm just using glue for this. I don't want it more on dimensionals because if my card gets too thick, then the post office seems to want more postage. So we're just going to put this up here. And I see that there's just a little nub on here from the laser cut. And we're going to take that little puppy off there. And then this one, we're just going to put down here. And I don't know if I want to have it at the very edge. I think I'm going to have it up a little bit so it's got a border of green around it. Otherwise it just looks kind of out of place to me. Where this one, the blue pulls it together up at the top, but the bottom isn't going to have any black and white on it, so we'll just give it a little green border. And we'll put this, maybe we'll put it right in the corner with a nice little edge, a symmetrical edge around there. And like I said, these cards are going to excuse me, two of the gals on my team who met an achievement goal for the month, and they're earning a tote bag, actually, so that's pretty cool. Now, since this card is more the blue tones, I'm just going to use these clear ones to give it a little bit more glitz. Let's see if I like that there. This one I only used 3. I think this one we'll use 5. I like to use the odd numbers. That might not be quite balanced. Maybe this one should go over here instead. However that works, it looks better to my eye that way, so that's where we'll leave it. All right. So that is that. 2 cards, pretty quick and simple. This might have been one of my shorter videos, believe it or not. But I was doing a lot of putzing ahead of time to get some of these things colored so you wouldn't have to watch me color it. But again, here's, well, there's those deer from the other piece. So here's the template that I loosely followed. So the base, a layer, which is my tree and my DSP as a layer, and then the banner, which I'm counting as my sentiment. And we could just pretend that that's a single banner, but that's my template, my sketch. All right, so what do you think? Boho blue or petunia pop, or whatever shade of blue would work? I kind of like them both. I'm not sure which gal is going to get which card, but we'll figure it out. And then what I'll do also is with this designer series paper, I'll take one that's a little more neutral, that doesn't have quite a heavy pattern to it, like maybe something like this. And I'll take 2 1/4 inches off of here and I'll put it on an envelope so that I don't have a naked envelope, right? I'm not a fan of naked envelopes. So what I'll do is I put glue on the envelope flap. I put the 2 1/4 by 6 inch on there, and then I just fussy cut around here. Make sure that you're putting your liquid glue as close to the edges as you can, and then a little bit in the middle, because you don't want it to lift off during postage handling and have it mangle your envelope. All right, so that's what I have for you tonight. These are the Grove dies. Yep, the Grove dies. They're on the last chance list, so if you like them, get them before they're gone, because when they're gone, they're not coming back. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little bit of your time with me. Until next time, happy stamping.